per kilo, 20 pesos ang kinikita sa gross profit ng LGUs. Binabalik lang ulit 'yun. Binabalik. So, the farmers in Ilocos are free sa hospital. They are treated immediately equally in hospitals, government hospitals. We do have good hospitals in Ilocos. Mariano Marcos is one of them, Lawag Regional, and they don't wait for any paperwork from PhilHealth. They get treated straight away. Why? Because the local government deposits money to the hospital. I think mga 1 million pesos para pag merong farmer na pumunta dyan at kamag-anak ng farmer, wag nyo nang hintayin yung paperwork. I-treat nyo na agad sila regardless. Hindi ka ba naman ma-encourage magsaka kung gano'n ang pagtrato sa'yo ng gobyerno, di ba? So, libreng internet. So, ang daming benefits ng farmers sa Ilocos. All because ang Ilocos has got about 200% sufficiency, rice sufficiency last year. And year on year, 180, 200%, more than what they need. That's only rice. Because of this.
Alam mo, Jay, gusto ko yung sa nabanggit mo kanina, I like the idea that hindi lang na-incentivize yung mga farmers, but alam mo yung hindi napapag-iwanan, I like the idea yung consolidated Nakakautang sila based doon sa consolidated na mga masasaka. Hindi na iiwanan. Everybody's given an opportunity. At the same time, they're being incentivized, and at the same time, they also get incentives from dividends from the local cooperatives. And kaya siguro hindi katakataka na alam mo yung 20 pesos siguro hindi malayo mangyari. At the same time, hindi rin mangyari na maging sufficient tayo sa whole country in terms of rice production. Ang sarap maging farmer kung tutuusin.
So doon pa ang isa pa diyan, kung titingnan natin, kaya bang gawin yung 20 pesos na rice? Kaya ba mo nang gawin? Yun mo nang tanong. Kaya, kaya. Kasi kung titingnan natin sa isang pilot project, which I cannot say much more, 7 pesos yung gross, yung puhunan. Then sabihin mo na ang farmer kailangan kumita. Kailangan talaga. Doblehin na natin. Yung pinuhunan nila 7 pesos, doblehin na natin ng 7 pesos pa. 14. Ang retailer kailangan kumita. For example, hindi dadaan sa NFA. Right? Let's say, private. Ibebenta. Accredited na private. 6 pesos ang kikita niya, let's say. Malaki na rin yun. 20 pesos. Diba? Ngayon, base yon sa ngayon. Ginawa yung ngayon. Ngayon, tingnan natin paano masusustain na. If the current agriculture setting, which is very complicated, already can generate this by consolidated farming, you scale that and duplicate that across the Luzon and Mindanao. Sabihin natin, first 2 years, you have a 25% output of what it is now. Diba? Yun ang sustainability. Remember, ang kailangan natin gawin muna, first things first, is to have food security. So, is that achievable? 20 pesos rice? Yes, it can be achieved within the next, I reckon, 18 months to 2 years. Basta lang, i-follow ng Agri yung framework na ilalabas ni PBBM, and kailangan nga ng local government initiatives plus supported by the national government.
That's great. Sa may pag-asa
Mm.
pala. Guys, baka may tanong kayo kay Sir Jay habang narito pa siya.
Yes, kanina si Miss Marlo. She was raising her hand. Go ahead, Miss Marlo.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. Jay, when you talk about food sufficiency, what do you mean? Like, does this include all agricultural products? Or like, for example, sa amin, sugarcane, parang, hindi naman yan makaka-feed ng people. For example, kung um, masanction na nga tayo ng, let's say, US later on, or for example,
Mm.
if Vietnam or Thailand will decrease their exports of rice, di ba? Baka kulangin tayo. So, do you think sugarcane is still a viable um, product,
Okay.
or should we
Good
convert?
question yan. No, I think yung suitability. So, there's three things, right? So, para i-revive natin ang agriculture. Suitability, scalability, sustainability. Isa yan sa part ng framework. Suitability is what just yung sinabi mo lang, Miss Marlo, no? The sugar cane. And the sugar cane should we convert, no? It contributes to our GDP, diba? The better our gross domestic products, our economy it will stand better. Therefore, there'll be more funds to trickle down or cycle through. That's my understanding. Now, what else can we do apart from the suitable for the land? If we look past sugarcane, okay, let's say your side of the area do sugarcane, right? We don't do that in north. And sweet kaming tao pero kulang asukal, may very valuable ang asukal sa amin, you know. Yan na yung papasok ng kadiwa. You know? That's when the kadiwa comes in. And the kadiwa, my understanding of kadiwa is it looks at what are the na-map na to eh, kung ano yung mga strength in terms of agri ng bawat region sa Philippines, right? Yung kadiwa will distribute where the needs are for the community. Very ambitious tong gagawin niya, going down to the barangay level. How do you do that? You need transport. Kaya kailangan din, yung sinasabi niya, di ba, have you heard of what we call back to basics or something? The back to basics includes yung transporting of these things, the FTI, yung Food Terminal Incorporated. These are the ones that looks at the processing and distribution of food not equally on where it's needed. And the channel of that is the Kadiwa stores. So if we are rice rich in north, but we don't have sugar, this is a very plain example, and you have a lot of sugar there, give us some of your sugar. We put it on the FTI, and we will put the rice on the middle o i-distribute ng FTI. Ngayon, how do we achieve this? Na-achieve to dun sa panahon ni Apu FEM.
Okay, Jay. Before you continue, I would just
Go
like
ahead.
to interject, no, because I read
Oh, go, go,
somewhere
go.
that the problem is that
Mm.
we don't have enough ships to
Correct.
transfer the products from Visayas and Mindanao to Luzon. So,
Mm,
as
mm.
it turns out, it's cheaper to get the goods from China and other neighboring Asian countries. So, do you think this will also be addressed by PBBM?
Yeah, I think so. Kasi if you look at this is just locally how we distribute the goods in the north, ano? But if you have a good transport system and distribution system, you have a good outlets, which is your kadiwa. If you have strengthen your national food authority storage, well, you don't need to wait. Pagka in-store mo yan sa NFA storage mo, ang lalaki nito yung NFA storage natin, adequately stored, then you would have enough for your distribution. If you have an effective transport food terminal, like, triaging of food or agri products and processing of agri products to more centralized, they are centralized now, but they're not effective. A more effective area, palakasin mo yung FTI, then you will have a better handling of food. Ngayon, isa pa idagdag natin, digitalization is very big on that, di ba? And what does digitalization mean for the agri? Pagka pinunch in ni farmer or ni co-op sa north na meron silang 200% na rice, it goes to the central database and it gets disseminated in terms of where should it go. Pag sinabi naman ng South, kulang kami ng brown rice, sobra-sobra kami dito sa Isabela, bigay mo dun through FTI. Diba? And these are all uh, uh, this should be all working as an integrated and consolidated effort to feed to distribute the food of the Philippines throughout the Philippines. Sorry, a bit passionate yung pagkakasagot ko, pero I think that's the way. That's the way we have done it there in mga Kadiwa stores in the distribution of food. Now, will we achieve food security? Kasi meron sa Ilocos, pagka meron nakatiwangwang na lupa dyan, and gusto mong sakahin, you can apply to have it farmed, and they will support you, right? And then we can also duplicate that. Then you join the consolidated or convergence farming groups. Then hopefully you become profitable. And if you're not, obviously you've got a low interest loan, you've got insurance and everything. So yung risk mo is mitigated and low. So alam naman natin na from Apari to Holo, ang daming land na hindi na talaga nila tinil. Kaya isa yan sa reason, di ba, na namatay ang agrikultura or humina ang agrikultura at production natin is because of those, kaya kailangan gamitin din yon. Ngayon, isa nating problema, at problema yan even sa north, is patubig, irrigation, infrastructure to support, especially irrigation, do you want me to segue sa kung paano natin i-revive ang irrigation, or do you have any more follow-up question from that, Ma'am Marlu?
No, please go ahead with irrigation, because I think that applies to a lot of crops, no, all over the Philippines. So it's not just exclusive to rice, for example. So we need to know, like, for example, if we're not beside a body of water, how will the government provide irrigation or water supply? Thank you, Jay.
Okay, thank you. I'm not an irrigation expert, I'm not an engineer. But what I know, Isabela, napabayaan ng irrigation namin dyan. Our irrigation's coming from Magat Dam. And it is a canal system. It goes from a big canal, it gets distributed to a canal. Why am I saying this? Ilocos, walang dam dyan as far as I know. Majority and some of the land there is based on hopefully that the skies will open up and we will depend on the rainy season and the dry season. So it has got both extreme issues in terms of irrigation. Up, let's say, Central Luzon, punta tayo sa Quezon, bukal yan, galing sa Banahaw, for example, ang tubig. The main thing here is how do you drive the water out to the vital, being a vital resource, to the roots of the crop. Yun ang objective, di ba? Ano na ngayon ang ini-implement? Okay, let's get water pumps. Ang problema sa water pumps, sinabi ko na ito kay kay Miss Rafael before kasi tinanong niya, paano dadalhin yung tubig sa sakahan namin sa Delphine Albano, Sabi ko, ma'am, water pumps ginagamit na ngayon. Nagkaroon ng crisis sa gas, right? And water pumps will consume a lot of diesel fuel if not gasoline. Ito ang maganda news. Quite recently, or this year alone, dahil sa green revolution ng ating PBBM. Renewable energy is very big on that. The Marcoses are. We are now doing solar pumps. So, and eventually this will be controlled by connectivity that the farmers need not to switch it on and off. And it is driven by ito na yung technology which we can talk later. So what we mean by that, duplicate na to sa Quezon din. You can search on this. This can be corroborated and validated. Solar pumps are now being used for a sustainable irrigation, and it has been working. So yan ang isa sa secret weapon niya. So it shows the Central Luzon alone, way back 2022, nung kinapi yung solar pumps, 99.5% became an irrigated land, and 0.5% na lang ang rain-fed. And palay harvested under the irrigated ecosystem grew by 10.5%. Ang equivalent nun is about 73,000 metric tons. Now duplicate that. Replicate those, scale it. Then you will have a better food security. These are the things na hindi naman sinisikreto ni PBBM to eh. Hindi sinisikreto to ng Ilocos. Ayaw lang i-publish ng mainstream. But we've been seeing this. We've been seeing this eco pumps, and it has been implemented, and it's ready to be scaled. Solar pumps, kung tawagin. So yun yung isa.
I think Sir si B may question. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
Go ahead, B.
Hi Kuya, by the way, that's very interesting yung sa solar pumps ha, kasi hindi ko alam yan. Miss Raf wants to ask a question. Kaya ako nag-raise.
Yeah, oo. Yeah, thank you for that. Gusto kong tanong kay Jay, have you met President Bongbong Marcos personally? And my second question is, na-mention mo yung tungkol dun sa kooperatiba ang bumibili ng mga produce nating rice or any crops, no? Where does the cartel enter? Or is there any possibility for the cartels na makaporma pa once na ang cooperative ay alam mo yung ma-empower natin, na sila mismo, wala nang middleman, sila na mismo yung bibili? Thank you.
To answer the first question, yes. How and how often, I can't elaborate further. Pero yes, so the answer is yes.
Sige.
And even Apulacay, So now, cartel. The cartel is more on, based on my understanding, we have experience. It's Isabela naman, And what happened is that they, and this is the reason as well na gusto ko maging anonymous, But anyways, the cartel, as far as my understanding is concerned, is that they will go sa non-consolidated farmers, right? Or non-convergent farmers, independently doing their thing, and hindi pa nare-reach ng mga mega farms, consolidated farms, convergent farm, whatever you call it, UniTEA farm, if we want to call it. So pautangin yan ng cartel, and ang gagawin is pautang lang pautang hanggang di na mabayaran, And obviously, pag nagsaka, this is one way, I think, of how they do it. Pag nagsaka, kuha ang talay, hindi pa rin mabayaran yung farmer natin ang kanyang pagkakautang, and yung next cropping, ganun ulit ang gagawin. And next cropping, anong gagawin sa mga nakukuha? Dalawa lang yan. Una, it's either they keep it, and cartel nga, so they keep it, so magkakaroon ng shortage, mataas ang demand, sa kanila ilalabas. Or, the second option, they keep it, ang farmer naman, di naman pwedeng magsalita kasi may utang sila. They keep it, and then short ang supply, mag-import. Diba? Kasi pag nag-i-import, yan si Mr. Dar, Ilocano pa naman, apparently, Apparently, marami rin kumikita sa importation. And nagkakaroon din ng cartel. The last one na nakita ko sa one of the towns, anyway, I won't mention, hinohold nila ang farmers, and then sasabihin sa farmer, wala kang pambayad, akin ang lupa mo, patatayuan ko ng bahay, ng real estate. Kasi hindi pa naman
Actually,
land use act. Ganun ang nangyayari sa
actually,
cartel.
Jay, kasi I'm from Isabela and I can attest talaga, even sa mga pinsan ko, kasi we're also, I come from a farming family of farmers, no? Although kasi I was raised in Manila, we also have land in the province and I see talaga yung effect ng cartel na minsan wala na talaga kinikita kasi kung ano man ang alam mo yung ma-produce nila, pinambabayad lang din dun kasi nakautang dahil, yun nga, kailangan nilang magpunla, kailangan nilang magtanim. Hindi naman sila makakilos, kaya sabi mo, pag walang puhunan. So, do you think if we empower the cooperatives, darating ang time na mawawala na yung cartel natin? Nawala ba ang
Well,
cooperatives? I mean, kahit sa Ilocos, nawala ba yan? Kaya namayagpag, or di sa Isabela, namayagpag ang cartel because walang ano din eh, wala na nga yung mga cooperatives eh. What do you think?
oo. Ilocos, no, napakalakas ng cooperative sa Ilocos. Isabela humina, pero hindi nawala. The other parts of Region 2, maraming nawalang kooperatiba kasi hindi lang sa cartel, kundi may mga head ng kooperatiba na tumakbo sa politika, ginamit ang pera ng kooperatiba, ganon. At nawalan na ng tiwala ang mga magsasaka, or yung mga bumubuo sa kooperatiba, which is yung mga tao kaysa sa mga opisyal. So, pero i-revive ulit yan kasi basing sa structure ng Ilocos, ngayon, mawawala ba ang cartel? I mean, the cartel will always be there kasi if you want it, you'll do something about it, then you'll just adapt to it, So that's what they're gonna do. However, pahihinain na. It just doesn't make sense anymore when hindi na economically viable, di ba? Na
Yeah.
bakit ka pa magjo-join sa kanila? Ang ganda ng benepisyo dito sa pag
Tama.
nakipag-consolidate or converge ka. So hopefully na hindi na sila uutang sa cartel. Hopefully na hindi na mababaon ng ating farmers sa cartel kasi meron ng assurance, sa kooperatiba at mas safe ka doon, As a matter of fact, mas masaya pa kasi yung mga ano rin yan, yung post-harvest party, yung mga ganun, that we attend to.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think eventually mami-minimize and maghahanap yan ng ways and the other thing though, may political will ngayon tong si PBBM, di ba, na he said that he will go after these cartels, especially yung mga nag-i-import, yung importation cartels. So hopefully na mabawasan and if not, ma-eliminate. I don't think so, pero it will be minimized to almost hopefully eventually mawala na sila.
Nabanggit mo kasi that you have met PBBM and Apple Lakay. Since we're talking about cartel, kasi nakita ko parang ang laki talaga ng trabahong gagawin. Parang ang bigat ng inaakong trabaho ni President Marcos. Do you think kaya niya to deliver yung promise? It's not promise, but he said that he will try to lower yung presyo ng palay or yung bigas. And marami siyang kakalabaning cartel. And since you have met him personally, do you think magagawa niya to? And where do you see within that 6 years na siguro meron tayong makikitang kahit paano pagbabago? Kasi I don't think in the first few months or 100 days, kaagad magkakaroon effect yan. Pero how do you see it? I think he's the best guy to actually tackle this problem.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it doesn't define you when you see them, see them as in the family. What you experience is you feel their humility, what defines if he can do it is that he's done it, so easy may experience siya, he built it from ground up. And
In
ang daming
Ilocos, sir.
in Ilocos Norte, yeah. And ipakita ko
Okay.
lang yung framework. Yung framework, is simplified. The worst, sabi niya, di ba, the best solution to a problem is to simplifying the solution where everyone or majority understands. But the hardest part is how to simplify the solution, right? And
Mhm.
how he simplifies it is, from what I can see, and even FEM, they segment things, and they a lot of consultation. Then they segment things. So, like for example, how do you revive agriculture? Well, you need to have good lending, a competitive lending. You have to subsidize at some stage and invest, and you have to incentivize the farmers so we can get the momentum na tinatawag ni uh, we can get the momentum going. The second thing is that
Mm.
when you are going to outside Ilocos, let's say Isabela, ginawa na to eh. Ginagawa na to, ginawa na rin sa Tarlac, di ba? Report na to sa Tarlac, yung mega farm. How suitable is it kailangan mong i-assess yung suitability. Now, yung suitability, we already know what crop will be best for the area. Napag-aralan na to sa DAR, right? So meron na. But you also need to consider peace and order, culture, yung ano ba yung binavalue ng mga tao doon, right? Sa pag-revival mo ng agriculture. Because kung malaman mo kung ano suitable sa area, looking at a holistic approach, then you can define yung starting point. Sa Ilocos naman, hindi naman naging, punta na kayo dito, tatayo tayong kooperatiba na the following day. It's not like that. Ang starting point niya is,
Mm.
he looked at the people called Sanjeras. That's one of the, Sanjeras is a group of irrigators, owners of hindi naman, rights to irrigate, yung dinadaanan ng irrigation sa Ilocos.
Yeah.
During Spanish time pa to, Sanjeras na tong mga to, And they spoke to them and said, let's work together. That's where the starting point. So ang agriculture became, they tapped into the culture. Kaya ang agriculture sa Ilocos is a culture. Ang agriculture sa Isabela is culture. It's embedded. That's where you look
Yeah.
at suitability. Now, peace and order, obviously, kung may mga NPA pa dyan, yan naman ang magka-counter dyan is NTF-LCAC. For an example, peace and order, Piddig, Ilocos Norte. They have uplands. Uplands meaning nasa mountain, right? Makikita mo lang mga military dyan nun. Right? Ano ngayon na meron dyan? Pasyal kayo doon. Is coffee plantation and sunflower plantation, ecotourism. Right? Eventually, value chain, value added is magpo-produce sila ng coffee. But they had looked at suitability. Yun na number one. Okay, next. Pag ginawa mo yan, it has to be scalable. Walang point na half a hectare lang kaya mong gawin. Pag in-scale mo na, wala na. Economically, hindi na viable. And the last thing, yes, mapapalaki mo nga, sustainable ba for everybody? So yan din ang kailangan i-consider. Ito is hindi, I'm not making this up. This is from his framework. Now, what else? If
Mhm.
you're ready to go, you've got funding, you've got everything, right? And you've done your assessment. Okay, we're ready to go. There are another 3 sets of things that you need to consider. What is the economic benefit? Right? Lagi yan tinatanong. Sige, magtanim tayo ng Japanese rice. But what does it benefit economically? Number 2, what is the environmental impact? Both climate change, sobrang ulan, how will it impact the environment surrounding the areas? Kasi you're thinking of multi-crops then. And the third thing, and pinaka-importante in-emphasize nila to, social benefit. How does it benefit the people within the area or the farmers itself? And what would we do for them to benefit? So, yung mga yon, ang framework for this to be scaled up and duplicated somewhere else. And successfully, it has been done. to whether it be fisheries, fisher folks, whether it be other crops, it has been done. Remember na nasa trajectory tayo ng growth, right? Sa economy natin. If you look at the economy on the first quarter of this year, we're at 6%. Manageable debt GDP ratio of 66%, right? Now, at this level, if he just scaled this by at least 20%, where would our economy go? Diba? Where would our food security
Yes.
go? So he doesn't need to move much. And this thing, he's already done, you know. These things he already done. Now, if he managed it himself with the power of the president, and if you put this as a national security issue, then you have a better chance of succeeding. That's why he's always confident and at peace to what he say. He's been there, done that, and the blueprint of his dad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Alam mo kung nagsasalita si Jay, parang yung you're looking at the very bright future pagdating sa agriculture kasi he had witnessed it all. I mean, being a farmer, nakita natin Ilocos, sila na mismo yung nagpo-produce ng rice. And can you imagine na hindi
Yes.
natin alam yun? Pero when you say, nakikita ko kasi hindi naman yata sabay-sabay ito may implement. So, are we saying na itetest muna na to, although may test area na, meron pa bang susunod na tarang test area? Let's say, okay, let's do this in the province of, let's say, Isabela. Tapos from there, magdo-domino effect na lang yan. Kasi parang imposible na mapagsasabihin natin lahat yung program i-apply in all the provinces at the same time. What do you think of it? I mean, coming from a farmer like you, I'm not a farmer, ah. Yes.
Yeah, and I guess I'll interject my question as well. On that note, parang my question kasi is, ano sa tingin mo, Sir J, yung first order of business na gagawin ni President BBM for that particular department or section? And then, paano mo sa tingin niya i-execute yung first order of business na yon sa pagkakakilala mo sa kanya since you've personally met him a few times? Ano yung
Yeah.
urgent sa tingin mong top
there's-
of the list niya?
Yeah. So I think like there's no interaction of these things, because of these things when I had the opportunity. Pero from what I know, how I know them, and what I know, the first thing is back to basics, diba, sabi niya. And what is this back to basics? Let's look at the main driver of internal. Let's look at the main driver of our internal inflation. What affects our inflation internally? Ano ba? Rice, right? What would feed the people as part of our culture in terms of food? Rice, right? Next niyan is yung meat and poultry and fish. Yan yung maganda ilagay sa pagkainan, and including our vegetables. So back to basic means that what had worked before as well. Our FTIs, yung Food Terminal Incorporated. Let's look at, meron na yan kasi eh. Let's just strengthen that and let us make it more, gawing mas more effective and efficient sila, And then National Food Authority, kailan din tignan yan, kung ano yung storage natin. So, mga back to basics. Also with that is, I think the first marching order is to have a look at those things. And ano ba yung clutter sa gobyerno? Sa agrikultura sa ngayon. Tanggalin muna natin kasi yan yung nakaharang eh. And he said this already, di ba, na he would like to look at, and with the recommendation of Madam Aimee, look at what are the things that are no longer relevant to the current situation. So yun yung mga back to basics. Now, in parallel to this is to look at the infrastructure, that will affect the value chain. And one of the infrastructure is research, IRI, ano na nangyari sa IRI natin. The other thing is irrigation. So sa Ilocos, let me flex this. You can also check this fact. It's no longer canal system in majority of the Ilocos, This is it's already pipe system. which prevents from erosion. And kung naka-pipe system ka, mas accurate yung delivery, ng water. So, irrigation system. And then the other thing is, we also need to look at wastage, right? Ang wastage ngayon kasi marami pa rin sa Nueva Ecija, Nueva Vizcaya nagbibilad pa rin sa kalsada. We are probably looking at how do we minimize the waste from there kasi nagsasagasaan ng ano. So, if we have those, the other thing is Kadiwa is coming out as well. Kadiwa stores with those, So, and then the rest will follow for medium to long term. And I think that's it, Rod.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Well, it's interesting to note that unang-una sa listahan yung rice kanina because, again, rice is life. Sorry, corny. I'm just trying to make the conversation lighter.
It is rice is life. I can't live without rice, to be honest.
Hindi, actually napaka-interesting ng discussion no? At marami pa sana tayong tatanong. Sir Jay, do you think do you still have time or can we go on or do you want let's say to continue this on the next session? Napaka-passionate ni Sir Jay.
I can have another hour. I think I can give another hour. I mean, kasi ano pa ba yung mga ginagawa yung value added, yung mga ngayon kasi 'di ba magpo-produce na rin ng Ilocos ng Wagyu beef as a result of the agriculture. There's still a lot of things that
Wow.
are happening and will be happening. So, yun ang mga exciting
Wagyu beef,
times.
sir?
Yes. So I can.
Wow.
This is connected to agriculture, right? So pwede rin natin pag-usapan kung nasaan na yung magkano na yung presyo ng bigas sa Ilocos, right? So, 'di ba tanong din yan noon. Wala kayong SM, magkano yun? But look, exciting times. I'm happy to, have a break and then we can regroup and then we can start another hour if you want.
Si
I think
Marlo,
may question si Miss Marlo. Yeah.
Hindi,
go ahead.
for later na, Jay, yung tanong ko lang is it safe to say na yung fruits ng projects ni BBM or yung policies niya on agriculture, this can be felt in like let's say in 3 years time, yung short term projects, or are you expecting this will be earlier?
I think it will be felt in the next 2 croppings, So we will have as soon as, so my tip is probably let's listen to what he will say on the inauguration. But ito kasing movement na to marami ng mga taga Ilocos that goes to Mindanao and doing network and doing talk about these things that I'm saying, and nag-uumpisa na ever since. So we will feel the short term in the sense that there is a direction, medium term, and then before he leaves, there will be a more sustained agriculture setup for the country moving forward.
Galing. Guys, ang ganda talagang discussion and I'm sure yung mga listeners natin, ang dami nilang gusto malaman. So, we'll probably take a break first and then don't go away kasi we still have a lot of questions and kung may questions din kayo, just send in those to us para matanong natin kay Jay dito. So, Jay, stay ka lang dyan and to our listeners, we'll be right back. So, stay, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.